And after 5 long weeks, Formula One philosophy with a name change incoming and an intro incoming and a whole new setup incoming, we promise one day, is back for an episode for a Miami Grand Prix predictions episode and a recap of the nonsense that's been going on in 5 weeks, or the last 5 weeks of Formula One during this, shall we say, unceremonious or what's the word I'm thinking of?
Unscheduled, unplanned, spontaneous.
Spontaneous is the word I was thinking of. Break that we had here. We were just going to go over a few things today. Sean and I think we enjoyed our break, right, Sean? How was your 4 weeks off?
Yeah, I had a good one. Got to do some stuff I haven't been able to do in a while, so it's always fun. How about you?
Much needed recharge, I think. I didn't think about Formula One that like I have been nonstop for the past 3 years. Just let my brain just kind of clear out, and a lot of things in my life cleared out. And I think every now and then it's good to just take a break. And I'm kind of glad we got a ridiculous, nonsensical war for no reason to stop 2 races.
2 races so far.
Yeah. Still praying for Qatar. I'm all aboard the Trump train if it ends Qatar. Now, Sean, to get serious for a moment, we don't lube up our conversations like we used to, and that's something I've realized in the past 4 weeks. We need to get back to lubing up our discussions.
How so? Because I'm concerned.
The other day, the kitchen folk that I work with, shall we call it, the ones in the back
kitchen
of the
creatures.
House, kitchen creatures, yes, the sea urchins of the restaurant. And if they're listening, go fuck yourselves. Brought up a discussion. What animal do you think in the wild? What's the largest animal that you can beat barehanded?
I guarantee you it's nowhere near as big as you think it is.
That's exactly what I said. That's a good point. So I think we're both on the same page there. I said like a deer.
That's bold.
So this is why I said that. Yeah, you're right, but this is what they added to the discussion. Is you're allowed to use anything in your vicinity. So like a stick, something that could be used as a spear.
Mm-hmm.
Like a giant elk, yeah, I'm probably asking for it. Like I'm not gonna do that. But like a small deer, I think I can do that. Or a young buck.
Good luck to you. I would say putting you up against an overly excited squirrel. The squirrel's probably got it.
A rabid squirrel? Maybe.
No. Just one that's a little excited. You know, sees the curly hair, thinks it's something it wants to get into.
Well, this conversation is not going the way I want it to go. What do you think you could beat? Like a fox, coyote?
I mean, having big muscular dogs has taught me that no.
Wow.
Anything dog shaped, you're probably not taking unless it's a little Shih Tzu or something.
That is a good point. Your dogs are strong, shall we say?
And they're not even big dogs. They're sub 100 pounds. So a big coyote is really going to fuck you up.
Yeah, but wild coyotes, for the most part, they don't get that much food, right? They're kind of like scavengers. They're not eating that much.
Yeah, but that's kind of worse because then they're desperate.
Oh, that's a good point.
We've gotten a couple of coyotes around here, and I don't want to fuck with them. So I'm going to say something smaller than a coyote.
Fox, I've seen some big foxes around where I live before, and I'm like, I don't want to fuck with that. Possum? Rabid possum would be interesting.
Possums are immune to rabies.
Oh, thank God. Our cat, well, Cairo, our former producer, was playing with the possum one night. We caught him. He has a death wish. He's used 4 of his 9 lives already, and he went after that possum.
That's it?
Well, not counting the amount of times I've kicked him, no.
You might have to cut that one out.
Not hard. This is good. You've actually lightened my eyes, because you know what my original answer was? I said to them, and if they're listening, they can corroborate this with a comment on YouTube. I said a black bear. I could probably take a black bear. Small black bear.
I feel like you're years late to this conversation. Because this has now become a meme.
Oh, it has.
That some ridiculous percentage of men think that they could take a bear in hand-to-hand combat. Or at least compete with a bear in hand-to-hand combat. Which then spawned the what do women prefer, being alone with a man or being alone in the woods with a bear. And something like 90% of women choose the bear.
Yeah, good luck to them.
Well, because the bear doesn't want to do anything to them.
The brown bear
But that's
does.
different. Well,
brown bear or polar bear
in
does.
general,
Yeah.
in general, you don't want to be around bears.
Yes.
But like I said, this has been in the cultural zeitgeist for a while. I feel like you're a little late to it. And your spur of the moment answer to that fits the narrative perfectly.
Am I so old that I didn't know that this was a meme?
Possibly.
Oh boy. 38.
I mean, it didn't start that way, but it became one.
The 38-year-old boomer strikes again.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Moving on then. I just want to tie a bow on our last episode. I re-listened to it, and I just want to give you a pat on the back of how much you've been nailing these reg sets. I really am picking up what you're putting down these days, and I appreciate you. I'm very grateful that you are a sense of reason in a time of, as we're going to talk about today, like just chaotic emotions going around Formula One right now. Just like everybody's going everywhere with their opinions of what Formula One should be right now without thinking it through. And basically, after re-listening to the episode, I realized we need to stop blaming the battery technology here. We just need to blame the people behind that who are setting up things a certain way. I think that's basically what you were trying to say. The setup is the problem, not the battery. The battery, if anything, has given us more power than ever before, in a sense.
Yeah, you're almost there.
One more time, I'll listen to it then.
You're almost there. It's, like I said, they gave the engineers enough rope to hang themselves, and they did it. Right? You do need to, all of this is compromise, and you do need to rein in the people who want to do over-the-top shit all the time. That's what it is.
Okay. To everybody listening, you should go re-listen to our Japanese Grand Prix recap. There is a good 40 minutes of Sean and I going over this, mostly Sean talking about what needs to be really fixed here. We're going to go over the new reg changes in a sec, and then we'll do some over-under predictions for Miami. But I think we're the only ones, like the only podcast I've found, at least. Like I know the race. P1's Matt and Tommy, they're all just, and like La VS I've talked about a lot, and I'm sure there's other ones like Planet F1, they all just seem to go with the wind, and wherever they see the most comments, where they could get the most likes, the most views. None of them have taken a measured discussion to this, I find. At least I find, like Peter Windsor of the race was sitting there for the past 2 years talking about the wonderful new regulations of 2026 that are coming, to after Australia essentially being a rat leaving a sinking ship saying how they fucked this all up after one race. And it's people like that I hate the most. Right? You've led a bunch of fans into a land that doesn't exist, and then the second you think it stinks, you kind of leave them to die. And people like that piss me off. Right? And I'm just saying that just because you and I are just I haven't. I said this preseason. I don't want to look back in anger, and I want to be optimistic for the future. I'm taking my time with this regulation set. Off the bat, I don't really like what I see. Like I said, something's wrong with the middle. I don't know if it's the battery or if it's just that Mercedes is so dominant. There's something wrong with the middle of the Grand Prix that I just can't quite put my finger on. And I'm trying not to blame one thing, and I'm hoping that with upgrades that we're going to get a solution to that. Maybe it just needs more competition or something. I'm not sure. Just can't quite put my finger on what's wrong there. And I think we'll find out come year end. And I just want to put a bow on one thing. You and I were about to talk about something, and then I'll come clean. I heard my daughter crying in the last episode, and I was like, shit, what's wrong? And I lost my train of thought on something. You and I were about to rant about the tracks, about the tracks that we have in 2026, which are, I think, may or may not be part of the problem. This is what I was going to get at, because I started ranting about how Vegas sucks, and then you just hear me kind of trail off in the last episode. I just want to clarify. I had a feeling preseason that the point of this regulation set was to make the street tracks the best races. And we haven't had a real street track until this coming weekend. We're recording now Sunday night, a week before the Miami Grand Prix. So this coming weekend, I think we will get a real sense of what the future of F1 is going to be like. They're really pushing for street tracks in the future. And if this is a good Grand Prix, and if this is good for recharging, battery management, and this is just an overall good Grand Prix, I think we will see more street tracks, even if that's not the solution, even if that's not a good solution, even if that's not the best option. I think they're trying to goal seek more street tracks, was the rant I was about to go on last episode. Do you agree, disagree, or do you have, or what do you think? What do you think are the ideal tracks?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know that I agree or disagree. What I do disagree with is that Miami's not a street track. The Miami circuit is basically built into a parking lot around the Hard Rock Stadium. So yes, there are portions that are road, but for the most part, it's a purpose-designed circuit.
Oh,
in a ridiculous way.
Yeah.
Yes, they do close it off, but the majority of that track is actually not public road per se.
So what you're saying is that track is the worst possible option that they could have thought.
Yeah, you remember the old Las Vegas Grand Prix where it was in the parking lot of Caesar's Palace with hay bales and pylons?
Yeah.
This is the modern version of that.
I'm holding my hand in my head because we have this track until 2041. Just fucking great, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'd like to think we can get to a point where a spa is the best possible option for these regulations, but I don't know. I don't know yet. I think this will help segue into the new quote unquote solution that they had in this past month. But I think they needed to wait a year. They needed to just see what this year was before they changed anything or adjusted anything. They really needed to let this year play out, and yeah, I don't know what we're going to see is what I'm saying. I think we just need to all take a chill pill, take a breath, let this year play out and see what happens. This is eerily 2009 in the sense that it might just be a one-off type of year.
Absolutely. And we've had 3 races, right?
Yeah.
3 races, 3 different tracks, and 3 largely varying results. And we went into it in detail in Japan as to why the overreaction to what happened in Japan was nonsense. Mm-hmm. From not just the crash, but the whole thing, the qualifying changes, all of it. You're absolutely right. And that's been my opinion. And it's similar to my opinion about Red Bull and their second driver's selection and everything else. You've made a decision, sit in it, stew, figure out all the problems, and then fix it once you know what the fuck happened. 3 races is not big enough sample size to tell you anything.
Yeah, this is for the fans. And here, I'm just going to pull up the new changes that are supposedly a quote unquote solution for you, just so we can talk about it quickly before we get into some predictions. Okay. Right off the bat, because they said the maximum permitted recharge is reduced from 8 megajoules to 7. And if everybody remembers after Japan, what Sean talked about, the problems that happened from changing it from 9 to 8. So right off the bat, we have a Band-Aid or a big, right? So let's see.
Well, you have less fuel in the tank.
And I think they finally understood that. And you were saying, you said brilliantly last episode, how did a bunch of engineers get this so wrong? You wrote the rules. And they said, and peak superclip power increases from 250 kilowatts to 350 kilowatts. Does that help with power?
Well, let's talk about what the goal is and what the F1 fans want. What's one thing that's been common across the last bunch of reg changes of F1? The fans complain that the cars are getting slower. Cars are slow. Back when you had V12s, V10s, engines on tin cans, these things were insanely fast. Okay, fine. They are insanely fast. So we've put safety measures in place. We've changed technology. The cars slow down. Then they gradually build back up to fast cars again. At the end of the last regulation set, we were starting to see some lap records and some track records being set with these new cars. And what we saw with the beginning of the Australian Grand Prix is that these cars were equally as fast as the 2022 reg set. Okay. So you can't complain that they're too slow because they're just as fast as the last cars were. But yet people were complaining they're slow. I don't know how they come to that. But how do I bring this back to 250 versus 350 kilowatts? This super clipping is basically they run the MGUK in reverse. So as you're full throttle going into the braking zone, the MGUK clicks backwards and starts generating power. And an electric motor is a great device because when you spin it, when you power it, it will generate power. When you drive it, it charges. So it sends power back. So you can both have a motor and a generator. That's the key concept of the MGUK, motor, generator, kinetic. If you want to generate 250 kilowatts from super clipping, you're limiting the amount of power it can put back into the system. So it is going to retard the forward momentum of the car by a proportional amount to what it's generating. And I don't want to go into the physics because I know I'll lose you. But if you increase that power that you're putting back into the system, you have to put more mechanical power against the system. So think of it like brakes. When I'm on the brakes going into a corner, if I'm at 75% pedal, I get a certain amount of retardation. If I up that to 95% pedal, I'm into the range of a lockup. This is what's going to happen with the MGUK. It can generate that much power and should be generating that much power. But if part of the problem was the delta in closing speeds, the increase from 250 to 350 is going to make that worse. Because as soon as the super clipping starts, you're trying to generate 100 kilowatts more.
Huh.
And that has a direct relationship to how fast the car is going. It's like they were comparing it early in testing. And the super clipping is like pulling the handbrake, right? The car is going at full throttle, you pull the handbrake. And that's at 250 kilowatts. Now, you want to add what is that proportionally, Nick? 100. That's almost two-thirds.
Or 40%. 100 out of, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So you're adding 40% more. So the MGUK is adding 40% more resistance. You can think of it that way.
Hmm.
And that's going to slow the car down more.
I wonder how they manage that. So does that mean like slower corners then? They're going to have to take the corners a little bit slower, brake a little bit harder?
No, the reason why they're doing it is so that you can charge more in a shorter period of time. Right? What they're saying around this change is that it will reduce the amount of super clipping to 2 to 3 seconds per lap. So cars will only need the super clip for about 2 to 3 seconds per lap because you can charge the battery faster. Great. But these guys are going to go harder into the corners and then decelerate a whole hell of a lot faster. So your problem with closing speeds gets worse.
Unless you add, you were saying mechanical force or mechanical...
No.
Oh, don't worry about that. Okay.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
The super clipping alone is the mechanical resistance. The car trying to fight the generator is the mechanical resistance. You'll be clipping for shorter periods of time, but it'll be much more extreme when it happens. 40% is not trivial.
Yeah.
Right? So on attacking moves, let's say when someone needs to charge and the guy behind them doesn't, you'll see a much bigger closing rate.
Almost sounds like they want to make it worse.
Maybe.
Something's going
There's
on here.
Also,
yeah.
Sorry.
There's
also a durability concern because I mentioned it briefly in one of the earlier episodes. Being able to charge and discharge a battery as frequently and as heavily as these cars are doing is a technological marvel. Those batteries and those control electronics are designed for a certain amount of charge and discharge. You're now adding 40% of that as a standard. So teams like McLaren and Lando, who are low on batteries and energy stores, can probably expect to take more penalties now because you're putting more energy into them.
In this, just one question: would a bigger or smaller turbo help, or is that the wrong way to look at it? Okay.
They took away the MGUH, so the turbo part of it has nothing to do with it. The turbo's purely mechanical now.
Okay. I'm just trying to think which team would benefit from this, but I guess it's probably going to be nobody.
No, it'll be nobody.
All right, everybody, pay attention to what Sean said. Sean just gave a big nugget that I imagine is going to be foreshadowing for this coming race. Boost system also has a cap. The 150 kilowatt is above the current power level at activation, specifically to prevent the jarring sudden performance swings that occur when a driver hits the deployment button. So, but didn't the boost system already have a cap? Like, this one's hard for me to understand.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to word it without more clarification on it. That's the boost system. So that's the kind of the push to pass that they have. From what I read, it's not the overtake, which is the new DRS, right? That's activated when you're within 1 second of the car in front of you. The boost is the button they have available to them to deploy more. And as far as I can tell, they're capping it at 150 kilowatts above the normal deployment that's programmed to the car.
So it's just going to make, I guess, overtaking a little bit more difficult. It's going to be more about now just passing the old-fashioned way.
Potentially. I don't know what the current one is, but my assumption would be that the 150 kilowatts is lower than what it was, which again is going to slow down because cars that were using boost or push to pass still have it, but not to the extent that they were. Right, so it may slow down some of this yo-yo passing that we saw, but ultimately it means slower lap times as well.
Great.
Which I'm fine with this because I personally think the boost doesn't serve a purpose here. It's a gimmick that shouldn't have been included, but that's my take.
Yeah, I think you talked about that after Australia. To anybody who wants clarification. Okay. This is the last thing I want to talk about the reg changes. Race starts get attention too. I'm reading directly from the statement here. Though that piece is on a slightly different timeline. A new detection system will identify cars with abnormally low acceleration off the line and automatically trigger the MGUK deployment to ensure a safe minimum. Flashing rear lights and lateral lights, will warn following drivers. Miami is the test case. What's a safe minimum?
Basically enough to get off the line. The way I read this, and I might be wrong, there's not enough definition in that statement, is that they've basically created a second anti-stall. So all the cars have anti-stall today, where if the revs are too low, it pulls the clutch in and it tries to keep the car going, but ultimately the car is not going to go anywhere. Right? Anti-stall is a tool to help them get off the line. What this sounds like is if they detect that the launch was subpar and that the vehicle and the, let's say, the velocity of the car is not what's expected, then the MGUK will kick in and start to propel the car forward. Do its job as an electric motor, basically. Which to me sounds too much like traction control and launch control.
Yeah.
Something that has been banned in F1 for a long time. Looking at the starts that we've had over 3 races, I don't know that this is something they need to do. I think this is something that Ferrari probably got really angry about, but were ultimately overruled by everybody else because nobody else has a system that works properly.
Yeah. This is going to help the Verstappens, the Antonellis, who've been having horrible starts.
Yes. It is something that I mentioned after Australia as well, I think. You know, more intelligent minds than myself could find very clever ways to utilize an electric motor to get off the start, which is effectively what they've done. But I don't know that this is the way to do it. As kind of a band-aid to, I fucked up the start, therefore help me out. I think there's also another part of that, which resets the deployment after the last corner on the formation lap to avoid the issues that Hadjar and Verstappen and a couple of other people had, where because of the way that they ran their formation lap, the battery was basically dead by the time they got to the line. Or whatever the weird idiosyncrasy of it was, the battery wasn't at a point that they could deploy properly off the start. They've changed that as well so that at the beginning of the race, once they cross that detection zone at the last corner, everything resets and now they have an allocation to use. I think for Miami, they should have stuck with that and not done what you just mentioned. Instead, they did both, and it'll probably suffer because of that.
This is going to be a very interesting race, and I never say that about Miami.
Yeah. And I just want to point something out that you and I talked about it. We think that they should have sat there for a year with this regulation set and seen what comes of it. One of the big principles in racing is don't change more than one thing at a time. If you're having problems and you're trying to figure out what's going on with the car, you don't change 5 things. You change one and you see what happens. And if that didn't work, you change the next thing, right? When you start changing too many things at once, then you have no idea what actually created the benefit. And this is what F1's going to run into. We may get a better result, but they have no fucking clue how it happened. And this is what happens when you make knee-jerk decisions.
Which could potentially ruin the next 4 years. 27 to
Yes.
30. Yeah.
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 Because if you don't understand why it improved, the next time you change something, you could go backwards.
Yes. Or you've created a trajectory which can only lead to a downward decline.
Potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. They did say one nugget in there that shows that they had an understanding of what the problem was, but then I think everybody just screamed at each other until they got what they wanted. The one nugget was that they're going to lean towards more MGU. What was the other one? MGU.
H.
The H is the combustion.
H was heat from the turbocharger.
So they're going to lean toward ICE. Sorry. I don't know why I lost the ICE. They want to do more ICE in the future. So in the next 4 years, they're going to have more of that as a feature than the battery.
Mm-hmm.
Which, going back to Peter Windsor, he was saying, well, we're only at really 40% or 45% battery anyways. We might as well just give more power to the ICE. But
it's like 47.5.
Yeah. Well, I'm just using this as a segue to what I think what we think the real solution should be. And is it the ICE that you want more of? Right? Because like I go back to 2004, which I to me was a demarcation line for Formula One, because yeah, I talk a lot of shit about Ferrari getting fucked and Michael Schumacher getting fucked in 2005. But that happened only because they fucked Toyota in 2004. Because Toyota came out with, as I've talked about before on this podcast, a hybrid engine. Saved themselves a pit stop. And it was unanimously blocked by all of Formula One. So was a stronger V10 the solution at that time? Was a lighter V8 or with a higher turbo the solution at that time? No, it was battery technology to go just as fast and to save a pit stop. And I say that because I think like everybody I see on the comments on F1 screaming that, oh, let's just go back to V8s, let's go back to V10s, let's go to V12s, let's make these lighter cars that are hard to drive. I don't know if you want that.
You don't.
Yeah, it's not going to get the result you want, is what I'm thinking.
No, you're absolutely right. And I'm happy to hear you go this way. Couple things. It's not battery technology, it's EV drivetrain technology, because it's not just the battery, you have to have the EV motor to go with it.
Right.
And it's all the systems and all the integration. And we've talked about this in our conversations about hybridization and whether or not V8s or V10s are merited in this day and age. We are doing now with 1.6 liter turbocharged V6s what F1 was doing 20 years ago with V10s. You have 1,000 horsepower out of a V6 power mated to a electric motor. It's a 1.6 liter engine. It is smaller than 90% of what people drive in North America. What does that tell you about what you're driving?
Inefficient, not as fast as it could be.
Right. F1 engines today are the most efficient ICEs on the planet. Mercedes has broken 50% efficiency. The average ICE is 35% efficient. The point of F1, as an engineer, I call it the point of F1, is to be the pinnacle of engineering. Saying, fuck it, let's go back to V10s, is the redneck version of that. You don't need 10 cylinders. More parts, more components, more everything only increases failure points. If you can bring that down, I'm all for going to 4 cylinders. Nui doesn't like them because then you don't have a stressed member because of the geometry of it. But for all I care, make it a V4 instead of a straight inline 4. So you can still have your stressed member.
But
F1 should be striving for how small can we get? Keep it V6. Can we make it a 1 liter V6? Who cares about how it fucking sounds? If you can get 1,000 horsepower out of a 1 liter engine, is that not what F1 is supposed to be?
Because if you want lighter cars, that's lighter. And just to go back to
Exactly.
the V4, it would be more like a small U, lowercase u 4. Just as a dad joke for this.
Well, they would go the Subaru route and call it a Boxer.
Fuck Subaru, Sean. Fuck Subaru. Sorry, you almost got me going there. Just to
What do you have against Subaru?
nothing. I'm just being a dick. I had a Subaru, the BRZ.
You did.
Joint with Toyota. Yes. Yeah, it was it was a good idea for the time. I just think it kind of missed the mark. It wasn't as good as it could have been. And in North America, rear-wheel drive is just as much as it's fun as it can be. It's just impractical at times.
Well, it's because you were trying to daily drive a sports car.
But it's what was it at the time? $30,000 car. Of course, it's going to be my daily. I'm not going to baby a $30,000 Toyota Subaru, or maybe that. Here, as I'm talking this out, maybe my mentality is the problem. Could have bought a cheap Nissan Juke, which is what you highly recommend, and have that as my. He hates the Nissan Juke. Everybody,
or,
obviously.
For that same price, you could have bought a cheap Nissan 370Z and tried to daily drive that.
I'm not going to comment on that. You're just t-balling something, a line of discussion we're not going down, Sean.
Nick can't drive, everybody.
No, fuck you. Point I'm trying to make is here. Let's give the rednecks some credit here, okay? The rednecks are trying to scream out for something that is warranted. I want to give the rednecks some credit here. They're wrong about V10s, V12s, inefficient engines, yes. What I think the solution is, here's my solution. Because everybody's talking about what the solution could be. Here's my solution. What you're all clamoring for, the people who are asking for V10s, V12s, V8s, inefficient engines, right? Non-turbo hybrid systems. What you're screaming for is, when you look back at the 2000s, is a day of competition, a mentality of competition. Everybody was coming with competing ideas. Ferrari had the V12 for years, and then when they realized they wanted to win, they went with Ross Brawn and copied McLaren's V10 turbo. Other people like Toyota had the V8 hybrid, which was canceled. I think BMW had a V10, but then once they started losing, I think they went to V8 turbo first before 2009 and still weren't competitive in 2009. Point I'm trying to make here is everybody had a competition of ideas, right? They may eventually coalesce and realize that the 1.6 V6 turbo hybrid is the best option. But maybe we just need a competition of ideas. Maybe what we need to do, and because I saw this, and I was thinking about this before I saw it, they've raised the cost cap recently. I think it was $216 million. It is now, something like that. It's adjusted for inflation.
It's higher this year because of the reg set change and inflation, but I don't know that it's that much.
It was over 2, I saw, which surprised me. To go from 140 to 200 something.
Because you're looking at euro or dollar? I mean, they're pretty close, but
good point. Good point. Yeah, it might be euro. No, it might be dollar. Yeah, it might be dollar is what I mean, because I think the euro is like just over the dollar now. Anyways, point is, it should scare the fuck out of everybody that for adjusted for inflation, it went from 145 to 2 something. B, I think what they should do is raise the cost cap even higher. Let's raise it to 350. Let's raise it to a number that we all agree, all 10 teams can agree on spending. And if Gene Haas comes out and says, I don't want to spend that much, you can get the fuck out then. Because you sitting there and leeching off of fucking Formula One's brand while you take all the money and revenue from sponsorship while you don't spend a goddamn dime on your team, that day needs to come to a fucking end. Raise it to 350. Sorry, yeah?
No, go ahead. Finish your rant.
Raise it to 350 and let everybody figure out an engine that they want. Max Verstappen wants a V8. He can sit at the back of the grid with a V8 that makes him happy. Other teams want to try a V10? Go for it. But if other teams do a 1.6 liter turbo hybrid engine V6 and dominate you, you're probably going to have to switch to that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the time before that you're all looking back on with such rosy glasses had competitive ideas. It wasn't one reg set. Wasn't like one tire set that you and I have talked about. Wasn't fuel strategies. You and I have been asking for these things. Different tire manufacturers. Refueling. What you want is the competition. And I agree with that. If that's what the rednecks really want, I agree with that. But you sitting here asking for everybody to go back to V10s is not what you really want, because the cars are going to get slower.
Yeah. And you're going to lose manufacturers. Audi will not be interested. Ford will not be interested. GM will not be interested. Whatever you think about them, they will leave. Can I offer a counter proposal?
Yes, that's what this is all about.
I think you're onto something. They should have the leeway to do what they want, because that's what F1 was back in the day.
Yes.
I want to say it was Minardi ran Hart engines for a few seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who Hart was?
Weren't they motorcycle engines or something?
No. This is Hart, H-A-R-T. Hart was one of the engineers at Minardi. He went, hey, why are we paying all this money for Yamaha or whatever they are at that point, which was a nonsense engine? I can design an engine. And he did it. And it was a shit engine. But for a guy who decided, hey, I'm going to design an engine and you're going to build it for me, fucking great. Awesome. That's what we need in F1.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you. It is the competition part of it. And I understand from a cost standpoint and from an efficiency and sustainability standpoint, you want to try and bring everybody together. I think there's a solution to this that lets people who want to be different attempt to be different. So my proposal would be F1 puts out, here's the platform for a 1.6 liter turbocharged hybrid V6. This is what it has to be. This is your baseline. If you're Haas or if you're Cadillac or if you're whoever and you want to come in and be part of F1, you can buy one of these engines from Mercedes, from Red Bull, from Ferrari, from whoever, and you can be part of the game. But if you're really creative and you really want to be here, we'll give you 20% more budget cap if you show us that you can do something different. If you show us that you have a V8, a V10, a V12, whatever it is, and you're going to run it on sustainable fuel, and you're going to meet an efficiency target of 51% and zero, net zero carbon emissions and this and that and whatever, use the 1.6 liter as the benchmark. What are the main specs of the benchmark? Sustainability, efficiency, fuel efficiency, whatever else. If you can show me that you can build a V8, a V10, a V12 that fits into this package, hybrid, non-hybrid, whatever, if you can meet those targets, we'll let you run it. You've got a horsepower, you've got a torque, you've got whatever. Here are the requirement sets. Build an engine, I don't care what it is, within this parameter set. If you can put together a project for that, we'll give you 20% more on your budget cap. Show us you can do it.
A reward system. I like it. Rewards creativity.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Exactly. Yeah. And if you need to buy these engines for, like Cadillac is in this position. We'll have our own engines by 28, allegedly. We'll see. We'll buy engines for the first couple of years. But hey, if we can get our own engine in 4 years, why not? And we can get 20% more of the budget? Yeah.
20% more of the budget is to develop the technology that doesn't exist to do what F1 is doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go to a V12, WEC has something similar where the hypercars are hybrids, but Aston Martin doesn't run a hybrid Valkyrie. But there are certain things that Aston Martin has to do with the Valkyrie in order to classify as a hypercar. We should be doing this in F1. And frankly, I think the problem with F1, and this may be a little controversial, excuse me, is that the commercial rights have been sold off out of FIA.
Mm.
And this is not new. This is Bernie Ecclestone and Max Mosley timeframe that this happened. The FIA doesn't own F1. They're the governing body of F1, but now Liberty owns F1.
Yes.
So they get to decide what happens. Whereas if the FIA had control over it, and again, I don't like Benny and all the nonsense that's going on in the FIA, but there is a potential that we are missing out on what this could be because of the commercial rights holders and the profits that they have to make to justify their existence.
And yeah, I agree with that. And I think they, on top of that, they got so fucking terrified during COVID and the lockdowns that they just solidified everything and just became a unit that is against change. They were so scared of losing everything that I think they're like, let's just get this brand up. We have Drive to Survive. Let's just get all the money we can. But now, like, how do you break apart this unit that's in such lockstep, right? So what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Which route do you think we should go? Should we go Sean's route? Should we go my route? Do you have your own route that we could go? Let us know. All right.
Let's get Briggs and Stratton to make one-cylinder engines for F1.
Briggs and Stratton?
Why not?
I don't even know what that is.
They make lawnmower engines.
Now you're really getting the rednecks pissed off. All right. Let's get into some over-unders for Miami, just so everybody can get an idea of where our predictions are going to be. And then we'll call it a night. Ready?
Ready.
All right, here's the first one. Over-under 32.5 points for Mercedes in the Miami Grand Prix. Remember, this is spring weekend, but I'm just saying in the Grand Prix. Over-under 32.5 points for Mercedes.
Maximum points for a weekend is 43, I believe.
43. So this implies a double podium, at least.
Yeah. So you're looking at a 1 and 3.
1,
at
3.
Minimum.
1 or 2 and 3, because 18, 15.
A 2 and 3 would work.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 and 3 if you, to go over. Anything less is under.
To me, it sounds like a no-brainer coming from what we've seen. The reg change isn't enough to do anything for anybody. So I'm going to say over. Of course, ignoring the fact that 5 weeks, a lot can change. But also, there hasn't been any significant testing in the 5 weeks. So whatever comes into Miami, this is going to be the first time the teams have it on track and are actually testing it. So I'm going to say over. I don't think anybody's going to make a significant jump first weekend out.
Interesting. I want to counteract that. I want to say Piastri carries over his form. But then again, like we could see a do not start again for McLaren based on the way things are going.
Piastri can carry over his form all he wants. He can win the race, like you said. 2-3 works.
It's a good point. I'll go under just to counteract you. Maybe we'll see a Ferrari sneak in there in second finally. Maybe and Piastri gets a third, and then only one Mercedes driver.
We'll see.
Something like Japan, right?
Yep.
All right. 20 over under 24.5 points for McLaren in the Grand Prix. 3-5.
You've got a better 3-5.
We'll say at least 3-5. Like we'll see 3-4, or Piastri gets second, then Norris only needs a sixth.
And that's the tricky one.
Yeah.
I think that's the most likely version of this. A second, sixth. And if that gets us 25 points, sure, why not? I'm going to push.
Ooh. Pushing half a point.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, you're right. You can't really push that, can we?
You could.
Yeah. And just for the record, I'm the engineer, but Nick is actually the math major. I'm going to go over them.
Okay. I'm going to go under again. I think we're going to see a surprise in some sense. I think we might see one of them do not start again. I have a feeling Piastri could single-handedly go over here. But I can see Norris with another problem. And he's not good. Oh, actually, Miami was his first win. I was about to say something, and I'm going to take that back right away. But I can see a problem for Norris this weekend. He's just off form.
In general, yeah. I did not realize, and this is, again, me not paying enough attention to the numbers. You're absolutely right. If Piastri wins, you're over automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's a tough ask. Kimi Antonelli was good at this course last year. Russell has a good car, so we can copy Kimi Antonelli's setup. And
I like how you didn't mention Russell being good at all.
You've really convinced me on that one. If he wasn't so arrogant, I was actually thinking about this the other day. If he wasn't so arrogant, he was just saying very modest. He was very like Hulkenberg-esque modest like Vettel in his last years. You know what I mean? Just very quiet. We'd like. He's not all that talented. Yeah, he's not a future champion. But like last year, if you look at last year, it was just a good consistent year for him. It's just there was always the looming, he's going to be a champion one day. Oh, he's one of the best drivers on the grid. No.
Yeah, he did as good a job as an AI model can.
Are you going to be the person in Terminator who just like goes crazy and just starts shooting at every machine? Like you're getting, it sounds like you're scared of AI right now.
No, I have a very good relationship with AI. Okay. I know its limitations, and Russell fits all of them.
George Russell, don't sue us. Okay. Over under.
Hey, it can't be defamation if it's true.
Dug the grave deeper. Okay. Over under 10.5 points for Red Bull in the Grand Prix.
Are we really at that point in the Red Bull journey?
Yeah. If we are. You said something in our Japan recap that I heard the other day, which is if they're a good team, if they have a good structure, they have 5 weeks to fix this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if they did. Do you believe that they did this right?
I'm agnostic here, not antagonistic. What the fuck was I thinking? Where are you going with this, Nick?
Okay, I'll give mine first. So this to beat this, it would have to be Max finishing 6th and Hadjar finishing 8th. That's 12 points.
Mm-hmm.
Or
a 6 and a 5, no?
Or a 10 or a 5, a 5 from Max and a 2 and a 9 from Hadjar. So is Max going to get into the top 5? Is Hadjar going to get into the top 10? I don't know. Can Max get into the top 6? Probably. Can Hadjar get 8th in that case? Maybe. Seems to be a toss-up right now. Not that it's Hadjar's fault. So I was going to go over. I was going to say like a 6 and 7, 5th, 6th, something like that. I think they're going to finish tandem this weekend, but not towards the top.
Okay. So then I guess that leaves me with an under.
If you want.
And I'm okay with that. No, I'm okay with that. Like I said, I'm agnostic. When it comes to Red Bull, this year's already done for me. They came out of the box like a wet turd, and we'll see.
They finished 7th, 8th, which is very, very likely that it's under. So you could easily get this. I'm a little bit more optimistic. A little bit more.
And what did we say going into the season, Nick?
It's all about looking ahead and being. Oh, okay, then no.
New year, new Nick. You were going to be more optimistic, right?
Yes.
So there we go.
Okay.
Optimism.
That's what I was about to say. Really pushing that optimism for me. Okay. Next one. This will be fun. Over under P12 for Cadillac or Austin all weekend. Does one of those 4 cars in 2 races, so I guess you could say 8 chances, for one of them to get
We're
P12.
Including the sprint.
Yes. This one. So the first 3 was just the Grand Prix. This one includes the sprint.
As ridiculous as it sounds, with 8 chances to do it. This is something I'm going to give you like 20 to 1 on, Nick. And I think I got that correct now.
You did.
I'm going to go under. I have no confidence in either of those teams.
It's tough, right? It's tough. It would need a lot of DNFs, a lot of improvement in the space of 5 weeks, which neither team anticipates.
I mean, did you see the video that Aston and Honda put out?
No.
They had the head of Honda's trackside engineering. It looked like a hostage video. Just full face framed in the camera, doing his best to get the statement out. It was a positive statement. It was meant to instill hope that they would get there. But I watched that and I went, holy fucking shit, this, do I owe these guys a ransom for this guy? Like, what's going on here? Oh, it was painful to watch.
Yeah, they're in bad shape.
Yeah.
In spite of what you just said, I'll push. I think they can do it once. I think one of them can do it. I think there can be the sprint we saw. What was it? Austin sprint. So in America, a whole lot of DNFs last year. Something like that could happen.
Because of Alonso.
So one of the 8 chances has to cause that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going over, though. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
All right. Over under P2 for Ferrari all weekend. In one of the 2 races, do they get a P2? I don't think they've gotten one yet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but you said all weekend, Nick. Let's clarify. Because when you say all weekend, that includes practice.
Okay. In the sprint or the Grand Prix, you're right.
For Ferrari. Over implies that they're going to hit P1.
Correct. Or you can push.
And under implies P3, push P2.
Yes.
This is legitimately a difficult one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go over, but do I think they can hit P2? That's really the question.
Haven't done it yet.
Have they not?
I'm trying to remember the China sprint. I don't think they did. Unless Leclerc did. Leclerc. Oh yeah, you know what Leclerc did because of Antonelli's penalty.
Yeah, which I won't really count for the discussion we're having. I was thinking Russell in 5th or whatever the fuck it was in Japan.
It was Piastri
4th,
was second.
5th. Yeah, exactly. Because Piastri finally came to play. I'm going to push.
You did say that they were looking like they had the rumor in the paddock was they were going to have a really good engine for Miami, or the B-spec.
Yeah, I mean, Fred woke up and chose violence and apparently commissioned a whole new engine to cheat, like McLaren, or like, not McLaren, sorry, Mercedes is.
All right, so you'll push. I'll go under. I'm safe with that bet. They haven't shown me that either Leclerc or Hamilton have changed in any significant way. They're just having a decent start. Better than everybody else in the chaos. So I'm completely okay with that. We'll see if that B-spec engine comes to play, but I doubt it. All right, last one. Over under 5 points for Williams and Alpine in the sprint and the race. So combine both. Can either of those teams get 5 points this weekend? Or
it's
more?
An either or, not both.
Well, yeah. If you can say you can make the case for I think Williams can get more than 5 points. I think Alpine will get less, or you can say both will get more, or both less. Dealer's choice here.
I'm going to say Williams under and Alpine over. Alpine, Gasly specifically, has proven that he can score points. So I'll give it to him. Williams, on the other hand, not there.
Mm-hmm. I'll counteract it. I think Williams has gone to work. I'd like to think we see something from them this weekend. I'll say Williams goes over. And I'll say Alpine goes under because last year they had a really difficult time here. If you remember correctly, Doohan was the better one all weekend and subsequently got fired for Lawson hitting him. So Gasly had a hard time here last weekend, or last year. Yeah, he's improved. Yeah, the car's better, but I don't know. I think Alpine is not all they claim to be just yet. And I think Williams, they're due for it. So I also think it's going to be tough for either team to do that because I think there's going to be a lockout from the top 4 teams. And
Yeah.
Haas, Alpine, Williams will scrounge, and maybe even Audi will scrounge for points from 8th or 9th on. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
Who do you think wins this weekend?
Piastri.
Ooh. I'll go with Antonelli because I'm gonna say, I said this after Japan, the repeat of last year. I think Antonelli 3-peats and really puts the pressure on Russell. And then we start seeing some hanky-panky from Mercedes to help him.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Tell us what you think. Give us your thoughts on the regulation changes. F1philosophypod@gmail.com, F1_philosophy at Instagram, or F1philosophy at YouTube. We'd love to hear from you. Sean, you have a wonderful night, and we'll talk again after the Grand Prix next week.
All right. Thanks, Nick. Have a good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.